Hello and welcome everyone, this is Type V3, and today we're profiling the P1 Grand Prix Heartless Armed Angel, Figma Aigis, the ultimate version. Unlike her previous two releases, this Aigis is based on her appearance in the fighting game Persona 4 Arena, which takes place 2 years after the events of Persona 3. Upon first glance, you may be asking yourself, what's so different with this Aigis? Well, short answer, just about everything. Despite her similarity to the previous Aigis releases, every sculpted section and every shade of paint is entirely new to this figure. They even changed the design of the heel supports. But then, this is to be expected since Aigis did take on a couple upgrades prior to her appearance in Persona 4. Of course, the easiest way to see these fundamental differences is simply with a direct comparison with the prior Aigises. However, this reveals the most surprising change of them all. Ultimate Aigis has been shrunken, and I'm not a fan of it. Yet, it's not the inherent size decrease that upsets me, it's the shift in proportions. Aigis no longer carries that tall and graceful posture, but instead has a shorter and slightly squashed appearance. It also doesn't help that the size of her head remains unchanged. For a character that's supposed to be 2 years older, this figure could easily be mistaken for a childlike iteration. It just gets a little too close to that moe aesthetic that I don't feel is appropriate for her. There is an upside to all this though, as now Ultimate Aigis is in perfect scale with the other Persona 4 Figmas. Also, this figure is easily the best of the three Aigises in terms of color choice with paint and its application. Visually, it's got the vibrancy that my eyes drew to most often, and this example faced no QC issues whatsoever. When it comes to faces, Ultimate Aigis only includes two, the first of which you see is her default expression that should suit most situations. Her angry face is really impressive in that there are actually minuscule sets of teeth painted in there, and the mouth has great depth to it. Also, you get Ultimate Aigis' visor, which were only ever seen in Persona 4 Arena's DLC. Bonus points to you, Max Factory, for this inclusion. Aigis has standard Figma articulation. There's a nice emotive head joint there that goes side to side, up and down, and can turn. Of course, there's a nice torso crunch here, and this one's really, I like the emotive range in it. Shoulders are an inner ball joint and an outer ball joint, so the socket moves as well as the ball joint here. Single jointed Figma elbow, same with the wrist, and of course you can swivel at any one of these Figma joints. And these shoulder guards do in fact rotate just to get out of your way when you move your arm up, so I really like that small inclusion. But they also pop off, so just be careful there. The hips themselves are on a simple ball joint, but I don't know, because of her design, you can't really tell that she's got joints going on. I mean, the most noticeable one is right here. But even then, it's hard to really pick out because how small it is. The one thing I really want to point out is these revised heel supports. They are incredible. I always had problems with the original Aigis in terms of standing without the Figma stand, but I've had no issues with this one whatsoever. I mean, I feel confident that I can put her in almost any pose I want, assuming that it falls within the limitations of physics, and she'll stand there without issue. So really impressed with how these turned out. But yeah, that's really it for articulation. No real major surprises or any new innovations, but I'm not really disappointed with that. Looking at her hand rack, everything is identical to the previous releases save for one thing. No bullet fingers. Instead, we're treated to trigger fingers that are used in tandem with her trio of weapons: a Gatling gun, a cannon, and a missile pod. For accessories, these are all wonderfully sculpted and painted, and are easily the main draw to this set. Attachment is straightforward, as all you need to do is remove Aigis' backplate, plug in a connection port, then follow up with the armaments. Now this definitely looks cool, but there are a couple things I should point out. First of which are how they're connected in the back. Now this can rotate side to side, but they're all connected on straight pegs, and all these arms are single hinges. They're not ball joints, so they do limit some of your articulation. I would have preferred ball joints, but because of the aesthetics and just how accurate this is to the in-game model, I can't blame them for going in this direction. But it does mean that you do have to finagle with it a little bit just to get the correct positioning of certain items. Also, this cannon has a hinge that can go back and forth, as well as a swivel at the top, but these wires are super dainty and fragile, so just be careful. Do not overextend where this cannon can go, or else you will rip those out. Finally, each one of the weapons can dismount, and there's a similar connection on its opposite side, so in the event that you want to move around where the weapons are placed, that is also possible. There's also an effect part for just the Gatling gun that you can put on the main barrel, or any barrel you choose, and it's a very simple fix, and it looks pretty neat. Also, you have noticed that Aigis can hold her weight with all this extra clunk on her, but in most situations I do recommend the use of a Figma stand. It's just, there's going to be certain scenarios where she just cannot hold up half of these poses with all this weight on her, so make sure to use the stand when you need it. Now, I won't deny that Aigis comes with a healthy amount of accessories, but I can't help shake the feeling that there should have been a little more. Effect parts for thrusters, a flamethrower, or even just another face. You could argue that I'm just being greedy here, but those who play the game know that Aigis is certainly capable of a lot more. With that said, does Figma Aigis, the ultimate version, live up to her name? Is she really the ultimate version? Objectively speaking, yes. She's beautifully recreated in figure form. Her articulation and accessories offer a great amount of playability, and there's enough tangible plastic in the box to justify the 3,500 yen price tag. Sure, there are some artistic liberties taken with her sculpt that I just don't agree with, but Ultimate Aigis remains mostly faithful to the design of the in-game model. Moreover, while I'm not a fan of the shrunken size, she's in scale with her Persona 4 peers, and I suppose she was never meant to be displayed with the previous two Aigis releases. If you've yet to grab a version of this steampunk fembot and have no specific draw to any one of her other versions, then this is the Figma I'd recommend. Anyways, this has been Type V3, and thanks for watching. Although, for as ultimate as this Aigis seems to be, her announcement and release were met with overwhelming apathy. But I guess that's no surprise since she was completely overshadowed by Yasugami's Steel Council President.